Hey there, welcome back to the final part of this week's episode of Leading Our Own Way. I hope you found inspiration in our guest journey this week. Today, we'll leave you with some key takeaways and actionable insights that you can lean on. Now let's wrap up with some powerful lessons that can help guide you on your own path. Don't forget to tune in for a brand new guest next week on Monday. But for now, enjoy this week's. Please subscribe to the channel if you don't already as well. Have a great weekend. We'll see you soon.
Exactly.
Why can't we be friends?
40 hours feeling crappy about work, about the people that you work with. What the hell is wrong with you? Why would you do that to yourself?
Yeah. So that led to throwing up 3 out of the 5 mornings a week because that fight and flight kicked in and I couldn't fly anywhere. I just couldn't move. So I was throwing up and I thought I was just ill at the time.
Yeah.
Now I know and everything I'd studied afterwards, I realized obviously that was the psychologist obviously went through that with me as well.
Yeah.
But suicidal thoughts, again, not to the point of wanting to end my life, but just the thoughts entering my head is probably the extent it went to. But yeah, like I just couldn't move. My hands were tied, and all your piece of advice is amazing. But even still in my heart, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes, I know you could turn around to me now and say, but you could have left and you could have worked your hardest to.
Not at all.
I know because I've heard it before, like in my own head. I mean, I could have, if I, it was the worst. I'd never been through anything like that in my life, right? But I just, my energy level wasn't there. But the thought of going for another job and trying to convince somebody to sponsor me, it just felt so heavy with everything that I was already dealing with. You know what I mean? It was so fucking hard, and I felt like I was at just a thing. Anyway, look, it all worked out in the end because the truth did come out, and but then I had to live with anxiety and paranoia when I came away from that, and I realized having a child and buying a new house, having a new car, and getting my dream job did not fix me.
It does not. It does not.
It just didn't fix me. You know?
I think what I want to give away, and then at this moment, Andrew, is that if anyone's feeling paralyzed by the fear or by the emotions or by the state of things, seek help.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think it's really hard for us to raise our hand and say that I need help. But I think what helps is, imagine if I were to reach out to you for help for anything in the world, right? And if you're able to help me and support me, whether that's with a call, connection, a client, or whatever that is, it'll give you joy, I'm pretty sure, by helping me. And so if I don't ask you for help, then I'm depriving you of the joy. And it's unfair to you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think that's why I started to do the book with my friend Mike. Is I was always an open book. I'd always talk about my story on the dog park, for example. And eventually you could see the energy in people, the eyes roll, here we go again. And most guys, not being stereotypical, I don't think they would have done what I did. I don't think they would have opened up as much as I did. I've always been very open. People who are watching or listening to this who know me were like, yep, he's always been very, very open about it.
Always help.
But the book changed. Writing the words down changed everything for me. That was the first step. And I listened to a podcast not long ago where somebody said, if you keep venting, it's great. Don't get me wrong. The power in venting is powerful, but you are releasing the undesired emotions on a daily basis. But the next day they're back again and you need to vent again. And it's just, you need to go through a crisis sometimes to create change. And I do believe that was the next toxic place plus the near-death experience was the change. And I feel it now from friends and family sometimes, like, when are you going to go back to teaching? You could be earning an extra 40 grand a year. Hear me.
Yeah.
I am not going back.
Yeah.
That stress, that chronic stress, I can do the job with my eyes closed.
Yeah.
But because of my fight internally, because it's wrong for the kids, for the teachers coming to work, how we lead in the department, in the systems, and I'm not just being towards the education system anywhere. Yeah. We need to go to root causes. I want these leaders to be so present with themselves and understand the brain at a deep level so they can understand the emotions of others.
Yeah.
And not bringing these leadership theories into play all the time that don't cater for the individuals at their work of place, you know? I don't know. Neuroplasticity then, very quickly, before we end with the 3 final questions. I think for those who, we've been talking about the brain quite a lot in this episode. Neuroplasticity, we mentioned at the beginning. We believe 15, 20 years ago, our brain set at 24 for a woman, 28 for a man, and then you were set with your character and your personality. Yeah. For those who are new to the brain, let's just quickly define neuroplasticity. And I could tell by our conversation at the beginning, it's something that you're very passionate about, and that you know, neuroplasticity. Let's go for it for a quick minute.
Absolutely, it's a very simple concept, and what that really means is that everything about you is changeable, so don't resist it. The brain is evolving, and we don't even understand the brain fully yet. It is a massive, powerful organ. I think I read somewhere, and you might know the data as well, the energy that it takes for the brain to sustain itself is much higher than I think the rest of the body or something like that. And it's a small organ, but it needs high energy. It's moving and firing at beautiful pace. And I think it's capable of changing, is what neuroplasticity really means. Now, the idea here is that everything about you is changeable. Your body's cells change every few days. And so once you start to resist the change, it becomes really hard. So find new ideas, build new mindsets, create new neuron connections. Let those neurons be ignited, because that's how it works. That's how neuroplasticity works.
I love how you bring your little your line of work, your quotes, and your business into the neuroplasticity. I love that.
It has to. I love the word. I love the word ignited neurons.
No, it's great. I love it. I knew as soon as that came through, I knew we were going to have a good conversation about the brain. Yeah, as soon as I realized I could rewind my brain, half the job's done.
Exactly.
You know, yeah. Well, you said something about the brain. Then that was interesting, and I forgot what it was.
The energy it consumes.
Yeah, that's what it was. So 20. You know, it's what? So is it something like 2% of our body weight?
5%. I think so.
Is it 2 to 5% of our body weight? But yet it takes 20 to 25% of our.
Absolutely, spot on.
Yeah. I love that, and it just shows you.
Get me the data.
Say again.
I knew you will get me the data.
Let me get my books out. I need to get my course out. But I love. Have you heard of Dr. Tara Swart? She is the author of. She's the author of The Source, and she goes through basically the 3 concepts of neuroplasticity. So neurogenesis, the development of the embryonic brain cells, so that where a brain cell will basically pop and create a pathway. You mentioned it before, the synapses connections, the neural pathways connecting, forming a new one. So if you learn something, they wire together.
Yes.
And then obviously through repetition, doing things over and over again, the neural pathway will myelinate. So the fatty substance of myelin will basically go around and allow the electrical charge, the electrical stimulation to travel at whatever speed it is. I did know the figure, something like 200 miles per hour or something like that.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like bringing in the concept of the bike. We myelinate the ride of the bike, but if you don't go on a bike for 10 years, that's where the saying comes from. It's like riding a bike. You can still.
Correct.
Exactly. I want to embed that into children.
Yeah.
If we can embed that into children, I'll give you a little tip. Tell me if this is good, Wood. You're the expert. I've been giving some children, when I go to certain schools and I might be in there for a week, I give them a meaningless code. Meaningless password. One famous one I've been given is tune 2341 at #full-stop. That's one I've been given. And this is a test for you or anyone else there. I'd like people to maybe comment on social media. Tune 2341 at #full-stop. You can't write that down. That's a cheat.
Oh.
Don't write that down.
Okay.
So the code is basically, I've asked them to remember a meaningless code, and I've challenged them any point in the day. I might bring it up and say, what's the code? And I've asked some people not to do it on purpose. And most of them do remember, even when the ones I've asked not to, they do subconsciously want to, because they're testing themselves.
Right.
And basically, as the week goes, a long story cut short, I've said, see, You can remember something meaningless. So imagine what you can do with the power of knowledge that you have if it's something you're at least half interested in. Then the next layer to that is if you fully love what you are doing, imagine the power and where you can take this in the world. And I think that's so powerful. I've had kids 6 weeks later coming up to me. I still remember it.
Amazing.
It's meaningless. It is pointless.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's powerful.
You've given a lot of advice. But if somebody was going through, and I need the advice because you, going back to your fear, where you got the fear, you left the job, you had no money. I'm there now. I want to fully leave, but I can't. And I do love what I do, but I can't actually leave because I've got a $4,000 mortgage I have to pay for every month. And I don't know where I'm not at the point where I'm going to obtain that from podcasting, motivational speaking, whatever it may be. If somebody's going through something very similar, what piece of advice can you give to the viewer right now?
Do not let go of that dream. Because in the chaos and noise of life and what needs to be fulfilled, sometimes you'll forget the dream. Write it down and put it on a post-it note because that dream is worth it. Beautiful. I hate the idea. And we might die at any point, right? But I'm willing to die chasing the dreams rather than forgetting about them. And so don't forget the dream. Chase it with all your heart and soul. If the universe will align and make it happen, amazing. If not, then you've done your best to chase the dream.
Yeah, love it. Future plans for yourself?
A book. I'm not a writer yet, but a book yet. But a book is absolutely on its way, and it'll happen at the right time. I'm hoping to focus in the next couple of months on it and see if 2025 is the year when it should be out. So that's the big plan.
Can I publicize it and put it on my shelf, please?
Absolutely.
These are all authors.
Maybe I'll design a cover and send it to you so that there's visualization through the podcast.
Like it.
Awesome. Love it.
Very much like it. You've already answered it. And you actually did put it into the sentence that I always ask my guests to do it, but quickly. What is your purpose?
It is to touch 1 billion lives positively and help them be driven by fear while they ignite their sparks, whatever that looks like.
Love it. I'm going to look at fear completely different because of you today.
I love that.
Before you do go, though, I do have a few photos that I just wanted to quickly bring up. Are you a bit of a runner? What's this all about?
This is me at the MCG for the first time. This is half marathon a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago actually.
Oh, was that recent?
Yes,
that was my neighbor was at this one.
Okay, the Melbourne Marathon, and I signed up for this, Andrew, in January of this year. I was sitting at Wilson Prom, taking my annual vacation, and I said I want to be healthy by the end of the year. But how would I measure it? I'll run a half marathon. And I signed up for it. I had no idea how to get to that goal, but I got there.
We've touched on it quite a lot, and I'm going to be putting the pictures up at the beginning of the episode, but these are just some side little ones. I've never seen the TEDx sign like this before, but...
Yeah, so this was from the audition. The one on with the white jacket is from the audition, and then the one with the black jacket is when we were doing our final dress rehearsal. And it was a grueling process to get to that TEDx stage.
Oh, I'm nervous now. You're scaring me. Don't say that.
Joyful. And rewarding.
And is this your typical day at work, these images?
Ooh, yes. Partly so. This is the part of my work that I enjoy the most, which is to be around people, to inspire them to be their best and do that in a group setting. The one on the right was me at the HR Summit in Melbourne. The other one, they're
going to appear fully on the screen, so don't worry.
Beautiful. And then,
nice. And quickly, family.
This is the best part of my life. This is true joy. My parents and my sister and her husband were visiting us. Parents from India and sister and her husband from the US. And we had a family reunion after, I don't know, maybe a decade, where all of us were together. And so it was just joyful to see that. Joyful.
Well, I would love to meet you in person. We've not physically met yet, but I feel like we've become quite close, and I would consider you a friend if that's okay.
100%. I consider you a friend as well, my friend.
Nice. A lot of people who are watching it going, "Don't say that. You won't be able to get rid of him."
No, look forward to it. And when I'm off onto the Great Ocean Road, I'm gonna make a stop, and we're gonna catch up over a cup of coffee.
Whereabouts are you based?
I'm in Point Cook.
Oh, yeah, not too far.
Yeah, not too far. Not too far.
About an hour away.
Yes.
For those who don't know Melbourne.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining me on my journey. It's been such a pleasure. I've had such a smart conversation. 2 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to hold a conversation like this. So I'm grateful for you being here. It's a light in my life that I feel like I'm on the right track, because I don't think this would have happened otherwise. So
beautiful.
Thanks for joining me on Leading Our Own Way. It's been a pleasure for me, and I hope it has been for you too. Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And there's no other way but to lead our own way. Love it. I love how you did my thing there as well into it. Lovely. Love it. To everybody else listening, I hope you've got something from today. I'm no doubt you will be able to. And if it's not put any spark into your life and make some mindset shift, I don't know what will. But we're here all the time. If you want to touch base, I'm going to put all the details of our contacts in if you'd like to make contacts with either of us, of course. But everybody else, come back next week for next week's guests. And everybody have a great week. We'll speak to you soon. Take care for now. Thanks for listening and watching Leading Our Own Way. So we can stay together forever and share more incredible journeys, please subscribe to the channel. That way you won't miss next week's episode and what that amazing guest has to offer to the world. Please support Leading Our Own Way, and we'll get you on next week's episode.